Coming up on Tider Insider Television, the Wild Wild West could very well be decided on the first Saturday in November this year. We'll continue our season previews with Alabama versus LSU. Will Bama get their revenge on the Bayou Bengals? We'll discuss. And speaking of revenge, you know it's on the Tide players and coaches' minds what happened in the Iron Bowl last year. These are just two of the games that we're talking about tonight as our season previews conclude on Tider Insider TV.
Go inside the Crimson Tide. Tider Insider TV with Rodney Orr and Gary Harris.
We'll talk about loyalty, and he's not even a member of the Crimson Tide yet. Running back commitment Kenyon Drake out of the Atlanta area has taken it to a whole new level. He's had the Crimson Tide's signature A logo shaved into the side or the back of his head. Drake says he went to the barber and gave him an Alabama hat, which the barber then used as the inspiration for the hairdo. Needless to say, the Georgia running back says he's 110% committed to the Crimson Tide. Ronnie, you going to be shaving an A there in yours or TI?
Not quite.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome into Tider Insider TV, presented by Buffalo Rock. Tonight, we're enjoying ice-cold Diet Pepsi alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. I'm Gary Harris. Our football previews for games 9 through 12 are coming up. But first, Rodney, we start on the recruiting trail, and I tell you, we can't even get 2012 wrapped up, and 2013 has already come into focus. Alabama had one commitment for that class. Bozeman, the big lineman out of the state of Alabama prior to yesterday, then two more. Let's begin with Reuben Foster, because by all accounts in recruiting circles, he's what's referred to as a stud.
Yeah, maybe the best linebacker in the country. Gary is a sophomore. There you see him, number 20. And a little tidbit on the story we're going to do on him on TiderInsider.com. He's going to wear number 25 at Alabama. The next Rolando McClain is what he says. So, again, he's a tremendous player, Gary, one of the top 2-3 prospects in that class, the class of 2013 already. You
know, out of Troup County High School in LaGrange, let's talk about this fact. Alabama's gotten some players out of LaGrange in the past, but for the most part, that's been an Auburn-Georgia battle for the top players in LaGrange. And the fact that this guy who's headed into his junior year is already committing to Alabama when he virtually could go anywhere in the country, this is a huge, huge pickup for Alabama.
So you're wondering how that happened.
Well, I'm just saying, good recruiting.
Absolutely, no question about it. He told me today, Reuben Foster told me today, that Kirby Smart's been coming to his school since he was in the 7th grade. He's been hearing about Alabama. He's seen what Nick Saban's done. He's seen the linebackers. He's seen Rolando McClain go in the first round. And he saw what those linebackers did last year and over the past few years, and he wants to be a part of it.
Well, there's no doubt he's a big-time football player and only going to get better and could compete for the title of #1 linebacker in the country next year, possibly #1 overall player with another player, Kimdichie, out of the state of Georgia. Alabama's also in.
Robert Kimdichie, who Alabama leads on. A lot of people say the next Jadeveon Clowney. Again, he's a 2013 prospect.
All right, speaking of 2013, O.J. Howard, not as highly touted as Reuben Foster, but let's be clear on this. You talk about upside. He plays at a small school, Otago Academy down there in the Montgomery-Prattville area, but accounted for 31 touchdowns as a sophomore, 6'5", 220, a great basketball player, tremendous athlete. You look at him as a potential tight end who could just really be a game changer because of his ability to catch the football and do something with it after he catches it. I think he rushed for over 1,000 yards.
He rushed for 1,400 yards, Gary, so that shows you a little bit about his athletic ability. You look at him on defense as a defensive end or an outside linebacker type. Last year had 131 tackles. Again, he plays at a small school, but the talent is obvious. Came to Alabama's camp, performed well, got his first offer from Nick Saban, came from Alabama, obviously, and he accepted it on the spot, said he didn't want to waste that opportunity. He wanted to go ahead and take advantage of it.
Well, the summer camps, Rodney, have really become more important almost than in-home visits. It's where a lot of commitments are made. Alabama hosting a lot of camps this summer. That's where the news came from, these two commitments yesterday. Let's talk about some other guys, beginning with some 2012 guys that are close to decisions.
Well, Gary, you know, everybody wants to know about Chris Black, the sensational wide receiver from Jacksonville, First Coast, 6 foot, 180. One of the top wide receivers in the country. He'll choose between Alabama and FSU. He's been here this week. He may go to FSU again later this week. And again, Alabama has been the leader since the spring. We'll see what happens when he announces. on August the 24th. Landon Collins might be the #1 safety along with Eddie Williams, of course, who's already committed to Alabama. Landon Collins from Gismar High School in Dutchtown, Louisiana, and one of the most outstanding players in the country, as we mentioned. He's here on a visit this week, Gary, and again, it's Alabama and LSU. I think Alabama's in great position with him. Dalton Santos, one of the top linebackers in the state of Texas from Van High School. He's a throwback. If you remember Barry Krause and Rich Wingo, that's what this guy is, a very physical player. And it's Alabama and Texas A&M for Dalton Santos. We'll see what happens as he's probably going to make his decision later this summer. Geno Smith, maybe the top cornerback, or certainly one of the top cornerbacks in the country from Atlanta, St. Pius, down to Alabama and Auburn, has offers from all over the country. He's going to be here with his mother on a visit on Thursday. And, you know, right now he said he may make a decision right after that visit to Alabama on Thursday. So that would seem like good news if indeed that happens. Eddie Goldman, maybe the top defensive lineman in the country from Washington, D.C., has Alabama, FSU, South Carolina, Auburn, and a few others on his list, Cal. So he has offers from all over the country. He's been here this week, and I think Alabama's in excellent position with him. Now, a 2013 kid that might be the #1 high school running back in the country for next year, for 2013, Alti Tenpenny. What a name, from North Little Rock, Arkansas, 5'11", 202, and a lot of people already comparing him, Gary, to Mark Ingram, and Alabama's in good position. Alabama offered, by the way, Alti Tenpenny during camp yesterday.
All right, great information, Rodney, as always. For more on recruiting, remember, TitRinsider.com. Rodney will keep you updated. All right, let's shift gears and continue our season previews now. And we're breaking down the month of November, games 9 through 12. And let's begin, of course, with the 9th game. It could decide the SEC West, LSU and Alabama. You know, earlier my intern, Cody Kirk, said, boy, LSU matches up well with Alabama. I said, Cody, they match up with everybody. Yep. They're a lot like Alabama. Big, physical, fast, strong athletes everywhere. 2007, 2008, 2009, 2010. 2-2, the team split 4 games. Could have gone either way each game. It looks like it'll be another just doozy coming up between these two clubs.
Yeah, and again, you're right, Gary. They do mirror each other so much. And, you know, the physical teams play great defense. And, you know, remember the game last year. But, you know, the game is played this year in Alabama. Again, it's a long way off, so how do you make a prediction on a game so far away?
We'll have to later on.
We'll have to do it.
Yeah, we got to, and it is a tough one to pick, no doubt about it. Well, if Mississippi State were in any other division, they would probably be in the discussion for conference champion. Heck, who's to say they won't be in discussion for the SEC? In Dan Mullen's second year, the Bulldogs went 9-4. They blew out Michigan in the Gator Bowl. This year, several of the pieces of the puzzle are in place, but in the monster bracket that is the SEC West, the Bulldogs have their work cut out for them. But, again, Alabama's got to go to Starkville, Rodney, and this is a good football team.
Yeah, and I would suspect, you know, again, it's a long way off, but they'll play Alabama a lot better than they did this past season, which was kind of surprised at how easily Alabama handled Mississippi State. And I do think Mississippi State's going to be a very good team.
Yeah, and 2 years ago, Alabama blew them out when they really thought they had a good chance to win. All right, we're just getting started. Up next on TITV, Alabama's 11th game of the season will feature a team that has all but 2 starters returning. Georgia Southern may be a tougher squad than people think. Also ahead, revenge will certainly be on Alabama's mind in the final game of the season. That's right, the Iron Bowl. We'll break it down, and we'll also get to your phone calls and emails. There's the information on the screen that you need to get in touch with us. And still to come, Media Days begins tomorrow. We'll have the sneak peek of what Alabama's media guides will look like. Stay tuned. You're watching the show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, the one, the only Tider Insider TV, presented by Buffalo Rock. Game number 11 on the Tide schedule, and don't laugh now, Georgia Southern, long a power in 1AA, now the FCS. I mean, Rodney, this is a football team that we have watched win championships at that level. They patterned themselves a lot after Alabama when they were building their program. Just the numbers on the helmet, blue jerseys, ran the wishbone for a long time.
Tracy Ham.
Yeah, and they got 20 starters back. So you look at this team, and obviously Alabama's better. At the same time, this is one of those games that the Tide's going to have to play a little bit. They just, I don't think, can just show up and pack it in. They're going to have to come to play because this team will get after you.
Well, I think they'll probably be more competitive than Georgia State was. No question about that. But, you know, again, as you mentioned, Gary, Alabama, way too much talent.
Yeah. And it would be a shocker, but we've seen shockers before, Appalachian State and Michigan, just a few years ago. Well, coming up, it's that time. Will Alabama get their revenge after they lost a 24-point lead at home to Auburn this past season? We'll discuss the Iron Bowl, and we'll take your phone calls at 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Or email us at TITV@WVUATV.com. We'll be right back after this. Stay with us.
And if they'd quit acting like pimps and act like professionals, we wouldn't have this problem.
If you're going to speculate on the depth chart and who's starting in what positions, then I'm going to close practice.
I think you all need to change your mindset about this quarterback thing.
I sort of respect you, and then you respect the rules that we have around here.
You all cannot function without a depth chart.
And I hate to be addressing that.
Just can't.
I hate to be talking about it.
Can't do it.
Who did that? I wouldn't ask any questions today. You know what I mean? I just take a day off.
I don't know about you, Rodney, but I miss him.
Yeah.
We'll soon. We'll be hearing from him beginning on Friday. And SEC Media Days and more friendly exchanges from Coach Saban and the media is sure to be coming up on Friday. It actually begins tomorrow afternoon. Arkansas, Florida, Mississippi State, and South Carolina. Coaches and players from those schools step in front of the mics on Wednesday. On Thursday morning, a big day with Auburn and Gene Chizik, Georgia, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And, of course, on Friday, when Alabama's on Friday, the whole week just builds toward this. It will be a madhouse Friday morning at the Winfrey Hotel in Hoover when Nick Saban and company, along with Ole Miss, LSU, and Vanderbilt, visit the Winfrey Hotel there. Of course, we'll have it covered for you here on Home Team Sports all week long. Don't miss any of our coverage. Well, of course, with Media Days comes the release of new media guides, and these things have become, let's be honest, as much for the fans as they are for the media these days. This year, Alabama releasing 4 different covers. Courtney Upshaw, Mark Barron, William Vallejos, Barrett Jones, Dante Hightower, and Trent Richardson are all featured. The Bryant Museum selling copies on the website. Go to the Bryant Museum website. You can pre-order $25 and keep up with the tide through the media guides. And we'll have the complete Media Day wrap-up on our show next week here on Titv. But right now, we'll continue our football previews. And in most games, if a team is leading 24-0, it's over. Certainly if Alabama's the team leading 24-0. However, that was not the case in last year's Iron Bowl. For the first time ever, Alabama blew a 24-point lead. The Tigers rallied to win 28-27. It propelled them to a national championship. And we know, Rodney, this game's always circled regardless. But this year, with the fact that Auburn did what they did to Alabama last year at Bryant-Denny Stadium, the stakes are even raised.
Well, we had a caller, Gary, the week you were gone, ask if that might happen again, lose a 24-point lead, and I said you'd never lived through it. But, you know, again, that was it's Alabama and Auburn. Anything can happen, and some unusual things happened in that game. And but you know, this coming year, hey, Auburn doesn't have Cam Newton. They don't have Nick Fairley. They've lost a lot of players. And I think as you look at that game right now, Alabama's clearly going to be the favorite. But, again, it's a long way off.
Yeah, Auburn, a fringe top 25 team. But that doesn't mean they don't have talent. They do have some talent looking for a quarterback, either Trotter or Mosley, it looks like. They do have Dyer, the young freshman from a year ago that rushed for over 1,000 yards at running back. But this is a team that, you know, when it's Alabama versus Auburn, throughout the period of time that Pat Dye arrived at Auburn, they have really done a good job against Alabama for the most part. And 2 years ago, Alabama, with a clearly better football team, had to score in the last minute to win that game. So Auburn to be a formidable foe. Our prediction on this one and the rest of our predictions coming up later on in the show. But Rodney, time to take some phone calls and emails. Let's get it started here on the program with Joseph from Tuscaloosa. Joseph, welcome in.
Hey, Gary, how you doing, man?
Good, Joseph.
Okay, say, it's something I'm going to go ahead and, okay, somebody get in the ring with me on this. Now, I was thinking about this guy named Gunnar Kill. Now, I have 2 questions. Now, first of all, now, I hear he's thinking, I understand he's going to go to, thinking about other schools, but I hear he's thinking about going to Indiana, and plus, you know, does he got a relative playing quarterback at Indiana?
Well, his uncle went to Notre Dame, and he's from the state of Indiana, so there's your tie-in there. And he's looking at a number of schools. Indiana is one of them. I don't think he'll sign with Indiana. Right now, Rodney, it's looking like this is an Alabama-Oklahoma situation. He's been back and forth a little bit, but there's no doubt. I mean, he's a guy that Alabama and Oklahoma both covet.
Well, let me say this, Gary, and again, it's going to be a little bit different than what you said. First of all, he does have a brother that plays at Indiana, Dusty Keel. So there is a possibility that tie could help Indiana. But also, Kevin Wilson, the coach at Indiana, had been at Oklahoma.
Offensive coordinator, right.
Sam Bradford, developed Sam Bradford. So that certainly has helped Indiana quite a bit.
So you're saying he might wind up really signing?
I'm saying it would not surprise me. Now, let me say this. I mean, Oklahoma just recently got a commitment from a quarterback. Missouri, another school he was very interested in, recently got a commitment from a quarterback. And he says now that he probably won't sign with a school that signs 2 quarterbacks. You know, the interesting thing about that is there's going to be competition anywhere you go. His uncle Blair Keel signed with Notre Dame in the same recruiting class in 1980 that Scott Grooms signed, and Scott Grooms was the #1 quarterback. Blair Keel started for 4 years, and Scott Grooms never played it down. So I don't think, you know, that's not wise. I don't think that's sound to make a decision based on what someone else does, but especially if you're comparing Indiana and Alabama, Gary.
Yeah. There's no comparison football-wise.
No comparison.
No, none at all. All right, let's go to Jasper for our next phone call and talk with Toby. Toby, welcome in.
Hey, guys, how's it going?
Oh, going well, Toby.
I was just wondering, is there any JUCO players that we're in on for this season?
Well, Toby, in fact, there is, and I'm glad you asked that question because one of them is here on a visit this week, been here all week since Sunday, will be here through tomorrow morning. That's Travell Dixon. He's the #1 junior college cornerback in the country, 6'2", 190. He's at Eastern Arizona, and he's got almost 50 offers. That's unbelievable for a junior college player, and a guy that had no offers coming out of high school. Only played 1 year of high school football, so he went to Eastern Arizona. He's made a name for himself as a #1 cornerback, and I think Alabama is, and we've said this for a long time on TiderInsider.com, that Alabama's a strong leader for Travell Dixon, in our opinion.
All right, good information right there. Let's stay in Bessemer and talk with David. David, you're on the program. Go ahead.
Hey, man, what's going on?
Hey, doing well, David.
Hey, man, are we playing Georgia this year?
No.
We ain't playing Georgia?
No.
Well, good. That's good news.
Well, you could always play them in the SEC championship.
Yeah, could play them. Could very well wind up playing them in Atlanta, but they're not on the regular season schedule.
Right.
What else you got, David?
Can we beat them then? I mean, can Alabama beat Georgia?
Well, I certainly think Alabama can beat anybody in the Southeastern Conference. I mean, they're going to be one of the picks to get to Atlanta, one of the top teams in the country. So, yeah, I don't think there's any doubt they can beat Georgia if they get that. I'll put it to you like this. They'd love to have the opportunity.
And I don't know what the graphic was, if that was supposed to be his question about Reuben Foster. We've already talked about Reuben Foster, the 2013 linebacker from LaGrange, Stroop County, committed to Alabama again. He's one of the top 2 prospects in the class of 2013 at this point.
All right, and certainly the question on the screen was, is he a lock? Nobody's a lock until they sign, but he sounds like he's as committed to as Alabama as you could be committed to a school going into your junior year.
Absolutely.
He seems pretty confident this is where he wants to go. Committed on the spot. When Coach Saban called him into the office yesterday, he and his family, he committed on the spot. All right, more of your phone calls and emails when we return to this week's edition of TITV. All right, if you think Rodney and I look nice tonight in our elephant wear shirts, you're right. You know what? And you can look nice, too, in an original elephant wear shirt from the locker room located on the University Strip. Since 1964, the locker room is a Tuscaloosa tradition, and why not? They have great men's apparel, good prices, and a terrific staff that will not only sell you your clothes, they'll make sure they fit you correctly. They'll do what it takes to get it right. You can drop by and visit them anytime, Monday through Saturday, or shop online at www.locker-room.biz. The Locker Room, the home of the original elephant wear shirts, ties, pants, pullovers, and much, much more there at the Locker Room. Okay, Rodney, we've got time for a couple more questions. Let's take an email first from Trey in West Blockton. The EA Sports artistry of Mark Ingram is something else. Majestic and awe-inspiring. A must-see for Alabama fans everywhere. Roll Tide, roll. Well, Trey, we agree. I haven't actually seen the game, but I've seen the cover, and looks outstanding. Anything with Mark Ingram on it's going to sell well around here, I can promise you that. All right, let's go back to the phones and talk with Jeff in Anniston. Jeff, welcome into the program there in Anniston.
Hey, Roll Tide.
Yeah, man, what's going on?
Hey, my question is, with us only having 3 running backs on the scholarship, what are we doing to address that situation?
Well, Jeff, they're addressing it. I've already got a couple of commitments and recruiting some more guys, so they're out there getting running backs.
Yep, they are. And again, Kenyon Drake's one of those guys. Justin Taylor's another one, 2 top players in the state of Georgia. And, of course, we showed Kenyon Drake with the A engraved in his hair earlier. Russell Shell is one of the, might be the best running back in the country, Gary, from out of Pennsylvania, Aliquippa.
And if you're talking about for this year, Blake Sims is a possibility there. Callaway, they'll be fine at the running back position. Real quickly, let's take one more phone call from Tim and Holt. Tim, we're in a hurry. Go ahead, my man. Tim, you there?
I just wanted to know about TITV maybe going to DVD for the people that are out of the area. And are we going to sign any quarterbacks for 2013, do y'all think?
Yeah, good chance that they'll sign a quarterback every year. What's it looking like for 2013?
Yeah, and again, it's a long way off, Gary, and so certainly we you start throwing out names right now, and expectations become that they're going to sign this guy or that guy. So I really don't want to say anything right now, but I know there's a lot of good ones out there they're in on, Gary. Certainly, and one of them is a Moss kid out of where's he, Asheville?
Yeah.
Is that where it is? Yeah.
Yeah, they're always recruiting quarterbacks. All right, good phone calls tonight. Our predictions next on the program. Stay with us. Welcome back. Prediction time. Real quickly, though, let me mention my good friends at the Tuscaloosa Quarterback Club. Great organization. They're having a membership drive. Call Jeffrey Hogg, the president, 792-2105 for more information. That's 205-792-2105. Tuscaloosa Quarterback Club looking for members. Okay, prediction time, Rodney. Let's begin with what could be the biggest game of the year, possibly Alabama versus LSU in Tuscaloosa.
Well, again, you just mentioned the key to me. I think, again, being in Tuscaloosa gives Alabama the advantage. I'm picking Alabama.
You know, I've gone back and forth on this one. As I said, they played 4 times. It could have gone either way. Probably 2-2 is about right. You know, we reserve the right to change our mind. I think Alabama at home will get it done in another classic football game. Okay, Alabama versus Mississippi State in Starkville. You know, tough place, although let's be honest, more times than not, Alabama goes over there and wins, even with some recent success Mississippi State's had.
I tell you what I think is so difficult about this game, Gary, is the fact that it comes right after the LSU game, so that could certainly play into Mississippi State's favor. I'm going to pick Alabama in this game, but again, this game and Arkansas are two that really scare me.
Right now, I'm picking Bama, too. Now, the next game, we do have a lot of respect for Georgia Southern, but I think we both agree here Alabama will get the W in game number 11, and that sets up the Iron Bowl down at Jordan-Hare Stadium.
Well, what about revenge, Gary? I think when you look at this game, certainly it's in Alabama's favor, and at this early juncture, I'd go with Alabama.
You know, what happened last year shouldn't happen. You shouldn't blow a 24-point lead at home to your arch rival. It happened. Alabama won't forget it. I'm picking the Tide to get it done down at Jordan-Hare. Of course, we'll pick each game week by week as we get to the season, and things can always change. All right, time for dinner. Pottery Grill in Northport tonight. Come out and see Rodney and I about 7:15. Get you some good barbecue. Don't forget, if you missed the show, to be available on our website, WVUATV.com. So for Rodney Orr, our producer John Huddleston, our entire TITV staff, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching. Football season is here. Media Day coverage here on WVUA beginning tomorrow. We'll see you next week.